Hello, I'm Tim. I'm a Thursday sub on the Pagan Perspective. It's not Thursday today because I fell asleep on Thursday. It sounds silly, but it is. I fell asleep. I've got sleep apnea. I wasn't wearing my mask, and so I stayed asleep for a very, very long time. So I was late, and obviously I can't upload on Friday and mess up that video's views. So I'm uploading today on Saturday. Apparently we've got Yucca's video to look forward to tomorrow, so at least I'm not the only person who is uploading late this week. So, slight disclaimer, this video is going to be talking about socioeconomic justice and domination of nature and women, so the women part there, and it's going to mention patriarchal society. So, socioeconomic justice, eco-justice, women being dominated by men, and patriarchy. I've not jumped wholeheartedly headfirst into the social justice warrior train. I haven't. I'm left-leaning, very much so, but I've not jumped wholeheartedly, full headlong into everything. So if you disagree with anything I have to say in this video, please comment below, discuss with me. It's possible that either I've not thought of something, you've not thought of something, or I'm just ignorant. I've mentioned in the past, I think I've mentioned in the past, as far as money's concerned, I've had times when I was younger growing up that we didn't have much money, but we had food, and so everything else I didn't care about. And I was young at the time. And as far as the rest of my life, pretty much money has always worked itself out. So I can't speak from the perspective of someone who has not had money and it's been a big deal. I'm single, I don't have children, I've never had any real responsibilities. I'm basically a 33-year-old teenager who happens to have his own house and have money and no mum in the house to tell me what to do. Please take that in mind. Secondly, my upbringing has been entirely white and straight. I had one friend / acquaintance at school who was gay. We weren't best mates or anything. I liked him, he was alright, I had no issue with him. But that's literally the closest I've been to having a gay friend ever. And we weren't close, that's all. My upbringing has been incredibly white, okay? I currently, for the last 5 years, have lived in what is apparently the most white British town in England, Canvey Island, at least it was last time I checked. I've never had black friends, ever. Not because I've avoided them, they've just not come across my path. I don't make friends very well easily, anyway, so I don't make friends, and I've just not been put into a classroom as a child with a black kid who had similar interests, nor have I lived in areas where there were very many black people. I had one friend at uni who was Iranian, or his second generation Iranian. So he was, sorry, his parents were Iranian, he was English, but you get the idea. So yeah, not through choice, just by happenstance. I've never had really experienced any I've never personally experienced any money worries, and my outlook, my perspective, the lens through which I view the world is ridiculously white, is completely straight, and I don't even have that many friends, so it's pretty much it's my experience, not anyone else's. So if I say anything that you think is wrong, and I apologise almost at 5 minutes, if I say something that you think is wrong, it is purely from ignorance, and I'm fully aware of this, but there's only so much Googling on the internet can get you to understand things. You need to know things firsthand to understand things. And I don't understand things, I'm aware of this, but as was it George Bush Senior talked about the unknown unknowns, or was it Dick Cheney talked about there are the knowns, the unknowns, the unknown unknowns? Well, I've got lots of unknown unknowns, but at least I know they exist. I just don't know what they are. So, there's my disclaimer. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. If I do, I apologise. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about a few kind of socioeconomic justice, eco-justice, domination of women by men, because that's the other group, and the domination of nature by people, and patriarchal society. First off, before I go back and talk about socioeconomic justice and eco-justice, Rebekah Getchell's thing, she mentions patriarchal society. I would put it to you that a patriarchal society isn't a society run by men, it's a society run by people who have traits most commonly associated with men. You may think that's the same thing. I don't think it is. We've had 2 female prime ministers in the UK, neither of whom I would say seemed particularly feminine. Traditionally feminine, as far as we get the idea. I'm not trying to offend anyone. Okay, so Margaret Thatcher wasn't the most kind of caring, soft, emotionally kind of person. There's a reason she's referred to as the Iron Lady, and a lot of people think lots of bad things about her personally, as well as her policies. Theresa May, again, it seemed as though she cared about certain things, but really she did not come across as being a traditional feminine, caring, a carer essentially. She didn't come across that way. Now I say carer because obviously women have kids, and women are the ones who need to look after kids in the first instance at least, and men being stronger back in the day, I say back in the day, I mean a long time back in the day, men would have been the ones who went off hunting and did all the big dangerous stuff because they were stronger physically and more aggressive. Now obviously I'm referring to like caveman days. Well, we're still cavemen. Our brains haven't changed in the last 200,000 years to any significant degree. We've still got caveman brains. The fact that I'm talking to you from possibly thousands of miles away, and possibly years in the past, depending on when you're viewing this video, is a testament to what the caveman brain can do. But we're essentially still at the base of it cavemen. So patriarchy is the leading of the society and the promotion of those within that society based on the whether or not they hold those traits which are more likely to be held by men. Things like assertiveness, confidence, aggressiveness, all those kind of things. Again, those traits can be had by women, but they more than likely are held by, and in a greater degree, by men. So, socioeconomic justice and eco-justice. Eco-justice, looking after the environment, not treating it like it's an infinite resource to be abused and destroyed, 100% I'm on board with. My path is more druidic. I'm really into just trees, nature. My big thing is oak trees. I love oak trees. I did, ever since before I thought about even looking at a druidic path, oak trees were my favourite, and then I find out that druids are named after oak trees, so there's a stroke of luck for me. As far as socio-economic justice, it's a tricky one. This is one of those things that comes up with the social justice warrior type, left-leaning, or full-on lefty person. Socio-economic justice, and I don't mean that as a pejorative, socio-economic justice would be, I would assume, in fact let's quickly Google it, socio-economic definition. Okay, so let's bring that up. So, relating to or concerned with the interaction of social and economic factors. And obviously when people talk about socio-economic justice, they're not talking about making sure that the socialites in their society, they're social and they're economic, they're billions, not making sure the socialites are getting the right yacht for them, that their 16th Lamborghini looks just right on the driveway. Socio-economic justice would refer to those who are less well off, doing better, or at least having a fair shake at the whip. it's a tricky one, this, because socioeconomic justice historically mostly leaned, I'm going to oversimplify on purpose, it mostly leaned away from black people and women. I'm not even going to start getting into the intersectionality stuff, but black people were not allowed to work in certain places, were not given social access as far as places they could go, as far as what they were allowed to do. Go back, women were not allowed to own property, couldn't vote, not allowed to have certain jobs, those kinds of things. Now, those are facts that we all are aware of. Nowadays, there's a legal Nowadays, there is a legal level playing field as far as the legality. Everyone, race, sex, gender, whatever, has equality as far as employment and laws regarding to money. Now, Ted, up on the bed, up, there we go. That was my dog, that was Teddy. So yeah, in the past you would have said that kind of by race and sex there were massive disparities. Nowadays less so much. Millennial women are earning more than millennial men. Male millennials are doing pretty crap, to be honest. I mean, the men are not doing great. They're still living at home. They're not getting into relationships because the women want people who actually have done something with their lives. So they're dating slightly older, and then the men are getting more and more depressed, and they're not finding work, and it's all rather sad for them, not for me, because it's not my situation. But my particular path, I'm a tree hugger, to simplify it way down. I'm not really overly bothered by all of that, because for the most part these kind of little mini wage gaps, for want of a better term, because this isn't a political channel, I'm not going to get into that, they mostly affect people who are earning more money. People who are on lower incomes don't have wage gaps. They just don't. When you look at the identical job and all that kind of stuff. So, socioeconomic justice, as far as the law is concerned, is a done deal. That's sorted. As far as society, as far as socially fixing it, it's mostly, from my perspective, just rich people complaining they're not getting as much money as other rich people. So I don't care. I think that people shouldn't be striving for huge paychecks. If you're earning enough money to live, then start making that life good to live in. My entire thing is making my life costs less, so I don't have to earn as much, and making my life enjoyable, and making a difference to the planet, which sounds very grandiose. I assure you it is not. So socioeconomic justice, my path doesn't support it, because legally it's there, and where it still doesn't exist in practicality, it's mostly rich people arguing with other rich people, from my perspective. So I don't really care. There's that. Obviously, eco-justice, treating the planet well, completely on board with. Forests being destroyed for no particular reason, other than just because of wood or getting the stuff out front of the ground under it. Obviously, if you want a fancy new iPhone every year, then you're going to have to admit that you are part of the problem. Where's my phone? It's not here, but I've got. Okay, it's not a fancy new iPhone, but I've got an iPhone. So there's only so much cobalt that's for batteries and things that isn't underneath the forest. There's a reason why we are now chopping down more and more forests to mine, and that's because we've run out of areas that are easy to mine in, sides of mountains and fields and whatnot. We've run out of places where we can mine easily, so now we've got to start destroying stuff to get at what's underneath it. If you drive a car, you can't really complain. If you have a phone, a computer, electronic devices, you cannot complain because you're part of the problem. I don't like it, but I can't complain about all of it because I am contributing to it. There is no economically friendly way of getting minerals out of the ground. There's a reason forests are being cut down, and I think it's abhorrent, I think it's awful, I think that we should be doing it in other places. But unless I'm going to be the one to find the alternative place to get those minerals from, I can't do a huge thing about it. As far as replacing carbon stores, as far as planting trees, I've got 60 oak trees going in the ground that I grew from seed this year. All going well. I've got around 320, I think, acorns sprouting at the moment in pots. I'm not looking forward to splitting those into their own individual pots as they get bigger. I'm expecting to lose about 10%, so I'll have somewhere around 10-15%, maybe 280, 290 maybe oaks to go into the ground next year. So by the end of 2020 I should have in excess of I don't know, 350 trees in the ground that I grew from seed, and I'll continue to do that every single year. That's the kind of eco-justice I can do. Trying to be with an energy supplier who's more eco-friendly, as soon as I possibly can, having an electric car, being more eco-friendly. Eco-justice is very, very hard. It's not as simple as just don't do it, because our entire society is entirely based on this consumption of the natural resources of our world. Certainly my path being more druidic, I don't follow the Abrahamic view that the earth was created for us to use as a resource, just laissez-faire as we see fit, forever and ever. Amen. I don't see that women were created from a man's rib in order that we can dominate them either. Referring to Rebekah Getchell's question, talking about how in For Earth's Sake it presents the idea and evidence towards the idea that domination of nature and women go hand in hand, and that we can't solve one without solving the other. Well, I don't hold to an Abrahamic view, therefore nature isn't mine to dominate. As far as women being theirs to dominate, that's definitely an Abrahamic view. Whether you're a Christian now who doesn't believe that is irrelevant. That's definitely an Abrahamic view, that women are there to be dominated. It's in Christianity, it's in Islam, it's in Judaism, that women are less than. Now, as far as fixing one to fix the other, I don't see they're related at all. Women are dominated such as they are because they're smaller and weaker and less assertive and less aggressive, and even if they're aggressive, they're less physically capable of following through. Just because a woman has got a big bark does not mean her bite is just as large. There are women who could beat the living crap out of me. It doesn't mean that I've not been in a situation where women have crossed the road, seeing me walk in the opposite way towards them on the street. I have seen women cross the road to avoid me. I'm practically a teddy bear. I've never been in a fight with anyone in my life that I can think of. So the fact that women are physically weaker and that just by virtue of being a man, and obviously so, someone would be scared of me, suggests to me, again, this is just my perspective, suggests to me that the domination of women partially is in the woman's head. Not that it doesn't exist, but that the domination partially is due to fear of what men are capable of and do. Men may be more likely to be the victim of violence than women, but the violence is still being done by men. Almost all of the violence is being done by men. So I can see why women would be scared of men. Now, if we just take violence as being a single data point, which is obviously a bad idea in any complex discussion, but if we were to do that, then we could say, well, if all of the violence is being committed by men, then how much of the general intimidation is being done by men? Well, probably most of it. A lot of it, maybe not even intentionally, like I said, because of part of it being in the woman's head. They know that men are dangerous, and men are dangerous. They're probably the most dangerous thing in the world if you're a woman. A man is the most dangerous thing you can be near. Some of the domination is going to be passive. In that respect, I have dominated women without knowing it, despite the fact that inside I'm incredibly insecure, and if even a tiny woman told me to do something, I would do it, yeah? But I will have dominated women by just my very presence. As I've said, I've seen women cross the road to avoid me. As far as how this links with my path, for me personally, I can only do what I can do. If my being a heavier set, beardy man is going to intimidate someone, all I can do is be friendly. If they don't give me the opportunity to be friendly, then I'm not going to pursue it. So if someone crosses the road to avoid me, I'm not going to cross the road to be nice to them. That's a great nice guy tactic that is creepy as hell. I'm not going to force my niceness on people, so I can't really do much. If someone is brave enough to make that interaction with me, then I'll be friendly and nice and all those things, and they'll see very quickly that I'm not confident and I'm fairly meek. With adults, with children, I'm a taskmaster, but I have to be. It's a professional thing. I can't alter how other people perceive me. I can't alter management structures in education because I'm not near the top. I don't want to be. I want to be near the bottom. I want to be free. I want to have less responsibilities to others. I want to have more personal responsibility so that I can spend more time doing my thing, helping the world and the planet. Therefore, from my path, they're completely separate things. I can help push ecological justice. I personally cannot affect socioeconomic justice, neither do I mostly care, because McDonald's don't have a wage gap, oil rigs don't have a wage gap, they just hire mostly men. The military, dangerous jobs, if you're willing to work more hours you're likely to be a man. Those things are all self-detrimental and not part of my ethos for living a long healthy life. So for my path, I don't believe that the domination of women and nature go hand in hand. There may historically, from an Abrahamic perspective, have been similarities in how they came about. I think that part of the domination of women comes from a need and feeling to protect women. It was only 10-15 years ago that holding a door open for a woman, being more polite to women than men, the whole chivalry thing, was being talked about as being sexist because women are strong. That all comes from a thing of men, the aggressors, the bigger, more dangerous of the two sexes, should be protecting the women. I do think the strong should protect the weak, as I believe that the intelligent should teach the less so, or at least those with knowledge should share it. I've rambled slightly. This is all based on my perspective as someone who worships nature. I think that occasionally the strong just are going to do better than the weak. In many ways, I would see myself as being weak. So those personal characteristics, the assertiveness, aggressiveness, all those sorts of things that lead to men being higher up on the food chain economically than women. Well, that's just how it goes for those people, and those things are not me. I would be more feminine in that regard. The fact that women will learn less because they take time off to raise a baby, well, yeah, if they take the time off and they are therefore less qualified in time served, they're not going to earn as much. I have issues with my health. I lose time in work, and I would suffer from similar sorts of things. It's not fair, but it's nature, and nature's not fair. I've tried to be as honest as possible. I am left-leaning, very left-leaning. I think we should all look after each other. But I've not jumped headlong, headfirst, into the social justice warrior train. I am willing to speak to people about their views, how they're different to mine. I'm willing to be educated if I'm incorrect on anything. I have read huge amounts into a lot of these things, but again, it's just reading. I'm never going to have the same worldview as someone who has had long-term economic hardships, has experienced discrimination based on their any immutable characteristics that they may have, whether it's race, sex, religion, what have you. I've never had any of those stumbling blocks, things to overcome. So I'm never going to completely understand. I can't. But I've tried to read as much as I can, and if you can give me your own perspective, your views that could educate me and tell me where I'm wrong or where I'm missing something, I would greatly appreciate it. Anyway, that has been my perspective. 28 minutes. Thank you very much for those two questions. It's something that I could talk about for hours, just generally, not even related to my path, and it could have very easily gone further away from my path, but yeah. Have a good weekend. Winter solstice soon, so that's something to look forward to. It's subs week in 2 months. I'm about to record my video for that now, so I'm not late for it. Blessed be.